Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, premieres February 16th, and stream Paradise on February 23rd on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi! Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Alrighty, this is the final hour of this thing of ours. I'd like to tell you about an equally interesting story that's making its way into the news, and that's the the suicide of one Kurt Cobain. By the way, is his wife, what's her name? Cobain, and her band Hole?
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love, yeah. You're a big Hole fan, aren't you?
I was.
You like Hole, don't you?
Who doesn't like Hole?
Thank you. That's a quote. You can quote me on that one. One time I was on with, years ago, on ABC, my newsman partner was a guy named Bruce Anderson. We were talking about Dick Oliver, the great Dick Oliver, a great friend of ours. I said, you like Dick? He said, of course I do. How long? Was it always? I always have. Was it anyway? And then finally, I couldn't believe how far we got into this before the obvious became even more obvious. Well, Kurt Cobain, who, by the way, that big smells like teenage sweat or whatever the hell they call it, that grunge is great, except for a guy named Neil Young who came up with that before. But anyway, these guys wore flannel. Remember that Seattle scene? That lasted about a year? Remember those people like Fish and Korn? And I don't know who these people are. They just
had about a decent 2-year run of grunge.
Yeah, and it was just kind of, okay. It gave us that awful Dave Grohl that he's a pain in the neck. By the way, I guess everything's okay around his house. Remember that? The sired the child and the brilliant Dave. Brilliant. In any event, as you know, Kurt took his head off with a shotgun, supposedly. Did you ever see the pictures of that? I saw I don't know if those are legit, but as you can imagine, it's not really decipherable what is left over. But in April of 1994, as you know, the music world stopped cold in a greenhouse room above a Seattle garage. Kurt Cobain was found dead beside a shotgun and a handwritten note. The official ruling was swift and final: suicide. Case closed. For decades, that conclusion has stood as one of the most tragic full stops in rock history. Now, more than 30 years later, an unofficial private sector group of forensic specialists says the story may not be so simple. According to independent researcher Michelle Wilkins, a small team recently revisited Cobain's autopsy and crime scene materials. Among them was Brian Burnett, described as a specialist in cases involving overdoses paired with gunshot trauma. Wilkins reported that after 3 days of reviewing the evidence, Burnett reached a stark conclusion. In her account of his reaction, he declared, quote, "This is a homicide. We've got to do something about this." Now, as you know, there are 4 types, if you will, of death, styles of death. And they are known by the acronym NASH: natural, accidental, suicide, and homicide. Actually, unexplained is U, so it's NASHU, Gesundheit. So the assertion rests on peer-reviewed paper that they have a paper. The group says outlines 10 forensic points they believe conflict with the established narrative. Their analysis focuses heavily on toxicology and wound dynamics. And the team argues that the reported levels of heroin in Cobain's system could have rendered him, most likely, severely incapacitated, raising questions, ladies and gentlemen, about his ability to handle and fire a shotgun in the moments before death. They also cite what they interpret as inconsistencies in the timing and physical indicators surrounding the gunshot wound itself. Now, from there, the theory becomes even more dramatic. The paper suggests that Cobain may have been confronted, forcibly injected with heroin to immobilize him, and then shot. And the researchers further propose that the positioning of the weapon and the presence of the note could indicate staging rather than a straightforward suicide scenario. Now, these claims are serious and controversial, as you can well understand. They do not come from law enforcement, and they have not prompted any official reopening of the case. The Seattle Police Department continues to stand firmly by its original conclusion. Detectives involved in the 1994 investigation documented the scene extensively and maintained that the physical and testimonial evidence supported suicide. Over the years, the department has reviewed public inquiries and reaffirmed that position. So that goes to show you that. And let me also tell you something. Police do not like you interfering with their conclusion, even though they're wrong. People sometimes, for big cases, like in the Son of Sam case, they had promotions and people retired, and by God, that's it. You're not going to want to hear, they don't want to hear some crazy guy like my good friend Maury Terry come up with alternative theories about the Son of Sam. So that's one of the things that's interesting.